Hey, welcome back to the channel. I am sitting right here so that you can see that outside it is really sunny and pretty outside. It is much warmer than it has been. Right now it is 30-ish degrees outside. That thermostat is always a little bit higher than it normally is, but it's probably above freezing right now because it is so sunny outside. And my greenhouse is like 50 degrees right now, which is really nice. I was thinking about doing this video in the greenhouse, but I was like, 50 is not quite warm enough. Once it gets to like 65, then I'll go out there and do some videos. But today I wanted to talk about the last part of my seed starting plan, which is all the vegetables and fruits that I'm going to do for this year. Starting next week, which is the second week in February, I am going to start sowing some cold hardy vegetables downstairs in my grow lights, so that I can have some things for the greenhouse, and so I can get a head start on things that are going to go outside, and so I can get a head start on some things that I'm going to have for the farm stand at the beginning of April, mid-April. So flowers are the bulk of my garden this year. I have purposely done that this year. About probably 70% of my garden is going to be flowers if I can make it all work right. And that is because over the last couple years, I have realized that the flowers is what I love. I love learning about them. I love growing them. I love making the bouquets. I love all of these things. And so I said, why not just go on out and enjoy it? And so I am. And that is going to be the bulk of what I am selling in the farm stand this year, hopefully, is flower bouquets. That is my plan. But I'm still going to do vegetables. I'm doing vegetables for us. I'm doing vegetables that I can sell on the farm stand as well. And I've thought of a couple of different ways that I can do that. But one big thing for me for the farm stand is vegetable starts. It's actually one of my most profitable things that I sell, but also what sells the most. I have basically made back all of my cost after I sell all of my starts for the whole year. And I sell starts from mid-April, just depending on the weather, either beginning or mid-April, all the way until the beginning of June. People love it. It always does really well. So I have to get a head start on that. To have it just has to be, they have to be mature enough for people to be willing to come and get them and put them in their garden. So anyways, next week, so I'm just going to go week by week of what I'm doing for veg this year. So the first is next week, I'm going to start a couple of different lettuces. I have an iceberg lettuce that I'm going to start. And then I have like one of those small Boston leafy heads. I'm going to start those as well. I'm starting those now because I am going to put those in the greenhouse. I'm planning to start my cold stuff in the greenhouse, hopefully in March. That's my plan at least. So I want to go ahead and get those started so we can get some good robustness on them before they go out there. And the next week I'm starting broccoli and cauliflower. Broccoli, I do just a simple Waltham broccoli head, and then cauliflower, I can't remember what variety is exactly, but it is a white cauliflower. I don't do anything fancy for that. And I'm actually not doing broccoli or cauliflower for myself this spring. I'm going to do it in the fall. But this spring I'm just making 6 packs for the farm stand. And then I'm also going to start a Swiss chard for myself. I love, and I probably will start some for the farm stand too, actually. And it's this beautiful rainbow Swiss chard. I love Swiss chard. I love eating it in salads. I love cooking it up. I think it's really delicious. And then I'm also starting cabbage. Last year was the first year I did cabbage, and it went so well. It was like the only thing I wouldn't say the only thing, but it was one of the only things in my garden that like really blossomed and did really well despite the fact that it was a terrible year. Like by the end of the season, there were 8 heads of cabbage out there, which is great. And we love cabbages here. We like coleslaw. My husband likes sauerkraut, so I'm going to work on making sauerkraut this year. I didn't do that last year, but I'm going to work on doing that this year. And then some for the farm stand too. The 3rd week in February, I am going to start tomatoes. Now that may seem absolutely nuts to you and really early, and for some people it is. I don't know that I would recommend everybody start tomatoes in February. I would maybe suggest more so the 2nd week in March if you're in my zone, which is zone 4, zone 5. Obviously you need to start earlier if you're in a warmer zone, but again, I do it because I'm selling my starts on the farm stand. And so they do need to be tall, they need to be bushy, people need to be able to see that they are ready to go into the ground, they need to be hardened off, and there's just a lot to get to that process. I also can start them earlier because I have a greenhouse. I can put them out there all day during the sunny day. I can leave them out in the greenhouse all day, and then if it's going to get chilly, it's an unheated greenhouse, so I can't leave them at night when it's chilly. So I'll bring them back in, but then I'll go back out and put them out during the day. So you may not be able to do that if you don't have a protected area to put them outside. Because eventually they will get too tall to put under the grow lights, and the grow lights will actually be more hurtful to them than helpful to them. So for me, doing the tomatoes now works. So I am doing, let's see, I have a list of all the tomatoes I'm starting. Okay, so I'm doing Crimson Sprinter. I really like this tomato because it's an early variety tomato, and I got it in July last year, which is really early for Vermont. Normally you're not getting tomatoes until probably the 2nd week in August, consistently. So to have a nice beefy tomato in July was just kind of like special. So I will continue. This is the 3rd year I've done this variety, and so I will continue to do that. I also am doing a Martino's Roma tomato, so that's really good for like salsas and making sauces and that kind of thing. I'm doing a beefsteak. I just like those real hearty beefsteak tomatoes. They're great for sandwiches and for just eating. I'm doing a yellow brandy wine, which I've never done a big yellow tomato before, and I honestly just thought it looked cool. And so I'm just adding that too. I'm doing a Cherokee tomato. I did these last year, and they're so pretty. They're like a beefsteak, so they're like big and bulky, but they've got like this purplish color in them as well. So they're just like gorgeous. They're just pretty to look at. So I'm adding those. And then I'm also doing lots of cherry tomato plants. You do not need as many cherry tomato plants as you think you do, just letting you know. But I get this variety from M.I. Gardener that is a variety that has different colors. So like one plant doesn't have different colors, but you could get a yellow, an orange, a purple, or a red, and you don't know what color the plant is going to be, which I think is really fun. So I'm doing those. I'm also starting my bell peppers at the same time that I'm starting my tomatoes. Most people don't do that. Most people start their peppers later. But I am telling you, start your peppers when you start your tomatoes, because then your peppers will be nice and beefy and ready to put out. Peppers actually like chilly temperatures. And so, especially here where we have like a very short growing season, it's good to get on the peppers and get them started so that they will produce a lot for you when the fall comes and the temperatures start cooling down. And for those, I just have a couple of different colors. I have a purple and a yellow, and then my regular green and a red. So those are fun too. I'm also going to go ahead and start basil as well. I'm going to be doing some of that basil out in the field and be using those for flower arrangements. But then I'm also going to have basil for herb usage as well, for my own herb usage and to sell at the farm stand. So I have a cinnamon basil that's going to be only and specifically for the field for flowers. And then I also have the Genovese basil as well, which is mostly for herbs, but I also use it for arrangements as well, because it does smell really nice and it's just a nice green foliage to add to a bouquet. But mostly that one will be for herbs. Let's see. Okay, flowers. First week in March, I'm starting more lettuce. So same lettuce, not anything different, but that's just going to be out for the field. I probably will put it in some of my raised beds just because that's a little bit of a better protection especially from my chickens. So it takes them a little while to figure out like what's in the raised bed. If it's down on the ground, they like run right to it. But if it's in the raised bed, they got to think about it for a little bit before they find it. So I'm going to do a couple of packs of those for my field, but then also a couple packs for those for the farm stand as well, so they're ready in April for people to come get. And then again, we skip a week, and then third week in March, I'm doing dill, which I've already talked about with my flowers. Some dill is going to be used for the field for bouquets, but then other dill is going to be used for herbs, again for myself and for the farm stand. This is something I'm going to have to succession plant because I'm really going to use the dill mostly for pickles. And so I will have the dill, but then I will probably start more dill later, like when the cucumbers are going to be ready. So hopefully they'll kind of coincide a little bit better. And then I'm also going to start mint that week too. Again, dual purpose. I'm going to have it for herbs. And I'm also going to have it as flowers because I'm going to, the variety of mint that I have is like a trailing kind of mint, which most mint is. And I'm actually going to put it in some of my pots to kind of have a trailing situation going on. And then if I ever want to use the mint for some tea or something or some lemonade, it can taste really good. And I actually personally don't like mint very much, but if I do want to use it for something, I can go and pop it off right from my pot, but I would rather use it for aesthetic purposes, I guess. Let's see. Okay, last week in March, I'm going to be starting parsley, which I use a ton of parsley, and I would like to try to dry some this year. So again, starting it for the farm stand and starting it for myself. And then I'm also going to go ahead and start my cucumbers. Again, a little bit early for you to start cucumbers if you don't have a protected area to put them. But for me, I can take them out to the greenhouse and they can grow out there in April, and then I can bring them inside in April. It's a whole thing in April. There's a lot of like taking out, bringing in, and taking out and bringing in. But I have that option, which is just able to get them a little bit more mature for me before planting time actually comes and before farm stand season comes. So that's why I'm starting them in March. Then we move to April, and it feels like April is so far away. But days like this, where it's really sunny outside and like the sun just feels good on your face, and I've noticed like the daytime's changing too. We're like eating dinner, and I'm like, oh, it's still light outside and we're eating dinner. Oh my, how cool is that? Like, I can feel the spring coming, but it's still, we've got 18 inches of snow on the ground. So it feels like a far away, but it's also not that far away. Anyways, in the beginning of April, I'm starting watermelon. Watermelon is just a joke, but I still do it for fun. Last year, when I had the greenhouse, is the first time I have ever successfully gotten a watermelon, and it was only this big, and I only got one. But that's okay. We're gonna keep trying. And because I have the greenhouse and it gets so warm in there, they like that a lot better. So again, starting those early because I'm gonna put them out earlier into the greenhouse. Uh-oh. And then third week in April, I'm starting cantaloupe. Same thing, going in the greenhouse. Had never gotten a cantaloupe other than last year. Hold on. This big. He's okay. And it didn't even taste good. The cantaloupe didn't even taste good. That's okay. Then I'm starting zucchini and yellow squash, which I will grow some myself. Not as much as I normally have grown, but I will grow some. I like making zucchini bread. I probably won't grow any yellow squash. Actually, nobody eats it and I don't have anything to use it for. But people love to buy the squash and zucchini from the farm stand, the starts. They love it. So I will make sure to have plenty of those. I'm also going to start my pumpkins too. I need to go over what variety of pumpkins I'm getting again, because I know you'd like for me to share that with you, because I'm doing a lot of like aesthetic kind of pumpkins for fall. I really wanted to work hard at that this year. So I will share that with you some other time, because I still have ones I think that I need to purchase. So we will go through that all another time, but my pumpkins are going to start then as well. So all my squashes are going to start at the end of April, that third week in April actually. And then everything is pretty much for veg has been started. And so by the middle of April, I'm putting out the cold things that are ready to go out, which would be like cabbage and lettuces, and I will start carrots and those kinds of things. I'm really not doing a lot of vegetables, to be honest with you. I'll put my Swiss chard out, and then some of the warmer things like the cucumber, tomatoes, and all that kind of stuff will go out at the end of May. And then I have a whole nother set of veg that I'm starting for fall, and I'm going to start seeding that in July. And that's going to be kale and lettuce, broccoli and cauliflower, and that's all going to be for myself. And that's all going to be started in July and will be put into the greenhouse at the end of August when things are starting to get a little cooler. It still get really hot in the greenhouse at the end of August, but the nights are going to be a lot cooler. And so we'll start putting those things out there so that they can start growing on in September and hopefully into October and give me a few things that I can have. Another thing that I don't have written down too that I think I'm going to do is some radishes. I can start radishes in the greenhouse probably at the beginning of March. And it's just one of those fun little things because it makes you feel like you accomplished something. We don't even like eat that many radishes. Like I'll throw some in some salads and stuff, and I may pickle some. But it's just one of those things that's like, oh, it's something green that's growing, and it just makes you feel good. So we'll see what the temperatures are like at the beginning of March and see if we can put them into the greenhouse or not. These temperatures have been so cold here, and it does get cold. It gets negative degrees every year in Vermont in the winter, but it's just been consecutive negative temperatures. Hold on. Just over and over and over again negative temperatures. This coming Monday, which will be starting the second week in February, it's going to be negative 25. And so I was going to go in the greenhouse and start waking up my tulips and get some snow on them so they could get watered and have them start trying to poke their little heads up. I am trying the best I can to protect them from that negative 25 degree temperature. I do not want them experiencing negative 25 degree temperature. So hopefully after that, we're past the negative temperatures and we should be moving on to warmer, quote unquote, weather. When you live in Vermont and it's been negative 15 on a regular basis for, a lot, it's been a lot. A day like today, where it's 30 outside, you don't even feel like you need a jacket. It's a reminder that spring is coming. So anyways, there's my real quick report to you from what I'm doing for vegetables and a few fruits this summer. I'm gonna put down in the description below my video that I did about all the cut flowers that I'm growing this year so that you can see all of those. Many of them I've already started. And then next week, I have a pretty big seed starting week to get going on for some of my flowers. And so I think we will do some seed starting together next week. And then I will give you a little update of what seedlings I have down in the basement under the grow lights and how they are doing. But thank you for coming on today and for following along. If you haven't subscribed, I would really appreciate if you do, if you'd like to see some more of my gardening content and my biblical motherhood content. If you could also like or comment if you appreciated this video. That's just super helpful to me, to be honest with you. If you appreciate my content, it's super helpful to me, and it makes YouTube be like, oh, they like her. Okay, sounds good. So thanks for being here, and I will see you in the next video next week. Bye.